Many thanks for your company here in our very first story. Famine looms at Adaklu-Helekpe and its surrounding communities in the Volta region after about 352 acres of farmland were submerged in a mudslide. Now, this happened after some portions of the Adaklu mountain exploded with water gushing out last Sunday evening. Now, 192 residents from the affected communities had their crops and other plantations submerged in the mud which came along with the water from the mountain. The victims are afraid their families would go hungry if nothing is done immediately.
Residents of Adaklu-Helekpe, Awameviope, Sikame and other communities at the foot of the Adaklu mountain were thrown into a state of shock and anxiety on Sunday evening following an explosion on the mountain. The mountain exploded with water gushing out on Sunday evening, which caused huge mudslides. The incident happened at different portions of the mountain, submerging farmlands downstream. The mudslide moved huge rocks from the original positions. Some rocks have been left hanging on each other in very unbalanced positions, posing great danger to residents. Joy News learnt a similar explosion occurred about some 50 years ago, but the extent of damage was minimal compared to the vast devastation caused in Sunday's explosion, destroying vegetations and farmlands. The chief of Adaklu-Helekpe, Togbe Krakani, narrated what happened.
About 7 p.m. we heard a loud noise on the mountains 3 times and the ground shook. We had no idea what was happening. After about an hour, we saw water streaming down to the community from the mountains. I quickly informed community members to be careful because we didn't know where the water was coming from. It was at dawn that we saw a huge volume of mud from the mountains in the community in about 5 trenches. Our crops were destroyed on the farms, some rocks were moved, and some huge trees on the mountains were also uprooted.
Affected families in the communities are already going hungry as family heads are struggling to feed their households. We are handicapped. Our crops were buried in the mud. We have to go to the market to get food for our households. We are seriously in need of help. Government must come to our aid. The presiding member of Adaklu District Assembly, Fred Agbogu, suggested that the communities should be relocated from the foot of the mountain.
Very afraid. Yeah, we are afraid.
Away from the Volta region, some households and individuals who were affected by the Tamale floods over a week ago received relief yesterday. However, the Osman family of 12 is still waiting to receive relief items. Martina Bugri was with them last night to figure out how they are coping while they wait for relief.
That is why. So you take me to the area. 6 p.m. and I'm in the home of Mr. Osman. His house was ravaged a little over a week by flood waters that swept through the community. Today we are back here to find out how they are managing. Well, people will be going to bed very soon. I'm sure those with comfortable homes would not be worried. But Mr. Osman and his family have a huge burden on themselves because part of their home cannot be accessed. We'll speak to Mr. Osman and find out details about what is happening in their home.
In fact, the flood actually affected me badly. A number of my valuable items were swept away by the rain. Well, my problem now is that there are some areas in my home that cannot be accessed. The whole house is electrified. There are shocks all over. So I would like to take you to see the areas that I cannot access.
I'm with Abdul Latif, the son of Mr. Osman. He's going to take me through the house, areas that we can't move closer because it's shocking. Because the electricity there could trap anybody.
I think I have to start from outside. In this place, you are not safe. Before you enter, you must be very careful. The whole wall is shocking. So anytime we are entering, we make sure that we don't touch the wall. So the way I enter, you enter that way, or else you are in trouble too. So follow me small. Then in the veranda too, from the level of the water, you can see it. So in that part of it, the whole place is shocking. Because it's lights out, maybe we have tested for you to see. And if you come inside, so anytime we are entering the room, we make sure we don't touch the wall. Because if you touch, it will shock you. So come in this way. Then, once you are inside, from the water level, the whole part, especially where they kept these connections, they are shocking. So we don't touch the wall when we are inside. We will make sure that when we are inside, we are inside the down part of the room, the whole place is shocking. So we are not safe inside, just that we are careful. So if a stranger comes, we'll make sure that from outside we alert the person. When you are entering, we have to lead you.
Well, we understand that the distribution of relief items is still ongoing. We'll bring you updates on that particular exercise. But let's focus on some more stories on the weather. The torrential rains that hit some parts of the Upper West region the past week have cut some communities off from the rest of the region. The Nadoli-Kalio district was one of the areas that was hardest hit, as some communities and their bridges and culverts washed away. For the Chaan community, it is an annual ritual, and they have always appealed to the government to come to their aid, which always fell on deaf ears. However, residents of Chaan have embarked on a crusade of their own to construct some of the roads using hoes, cutlass and pickaxes. Upper West correspondent Rafiq Salam reports from Chaan in the Nadoli district.
The people of the Nadoli-Kalio district of the Upper West region may be grappling with several challenges in its quest to get the needed development. One area that stands out among the plethora of challenges is in the road sector. Kanyene electoral area, located in the eastern enclave of the district, is no exception. Simply put, the roads in the communities are in deplorable state, and the quadruplets communities are often cut off from the rest of the district and the region anytime it rains. This road, located between Chaan and Zambogo, was constructed under the Ghana Social Opportunities Project, GSOP, in collaboration with the Nadoli-Kalio District Assembly last year. The project, however, failed to take care of the construction of a bridge to take care of the floods. For the past couple of weeks, the area has been inundated with torrential rains, leading to the roads being flooded, thereby cutting residents off from some parts of the district. Residents of Chaan, on their own little way, used power boards and firewood and constructed this walkway to enable them commute to the other adjoining communities. Romanus Jan is the assemblyman of the Kanyene electoral area.
If you look at the location of Chaan, we are very central. We have an Zang over here to the east, where our people go and sell their goods and then also buy basic things. And then there is not an access road from Chaan to an Zang, which is very worrying. And we have another challenge going from Chaan to Sombo. You know, it is one of the central areas. You know, we go there for a whole lot of social activities, but we don't have a linkage route from that place to Sombo, and then we are thinking about that. Then we have Kanyangwasi also, and one of the communities that we do a lot of things in common, and then we don't have an access road. Yeah, we've been there, and then they are also going to emulate the example of Chaan.
The Chaan community has also embarked on another self-help project to construct a 90-kilometer road from the community to Jangwase. Here to its construction, it was a walk path, but always flooded during the rainy season. Residents are forced to either walk barefooted on the water or use motorbikes to enable them cross the valleys. Nadoli Keleo District Chief Executive Kate Lankono, who broke the ground for the work to begin, was elated.
Well, I thought we could all walk in the water, but because I'm not used to it, they insisted I go on the bike. I wanted to experience walking in the water with them, but it's a challenge. When I saw the water, I was scared, and they saw that I was really scared, and they decided to help. But it's a good experience. Even on the bike, I was so scared, and I can feel their agency and the need for which they decided to help themselves in constructing the linking road. And I can promise them that the assembly will come and construct a bridge and will make the road a better one for the community.
Reporting for J News, Rafik Salam, Chaan.
Let's head to the central region now. The Infantaman Municipal Assembly is urging fishermen in the central region to channel the proceeds from the sale of premixed fuel towards the education of children in the community. Infantaman Municipal Chief Executive Kelly Asuman says using proceeds from the investment of premixed fuel to fund the education of their wards is one of the surest ways of lifting the communities out of poverty. Speaking at the speech day of the Salt Pond Anglican Junior High School, the MCE advised the fisherfolk to partner the assembly, reduce poverty and unemployment in the area through education. We'll bring you that story shortly, right after this. Thanks for staying on Joe News today with me, Benis Abubedu. Now, on Joe News agenda today, we find out how a state-sponsored real estate fund could help you own a home at a cheaper cost. Ghana's housing deficit keeps worsening by the day. The situation is terrible, mostly in the urban centers, as the search for jobs have compelled people to migrate from rural areas to the urban centers. But are you aware you can own a home without making full payment with the cost spread many years? Well, the marketing director of Lakeside Estate, Lawrence D'Souza, is calling for a real estate fund. Now, he believes the fund will make mortgages attractive to Ghanaians by reducing the interest rates on them. Joe News' Maxwell Agbagba has been speaking to him and an opinion leader in Nima and has come through with this report.
I'm currently here at Nima, basically to find out what the housing situation is like here. Happening behind me right now are some kids who are back from school and enjoying a game of Ampe. But I'm here specifically to meet Emmanuel Jani. Emmanuel is actually a pensioner. He's a 67-year-old pensioner. He used to work with the Ministry of Defense as a cobbler. Emmanuel is an opinion leader here in this community. He's going to tell us exactly what it was like in the past and what the housing situation is like now here at Nima. A compound of livestock busily feeding, scattered household items, amongst them a television set, indications the family is in dire need of space as they continue to multiply. Over 15 people live here. Emmanuel Ajani, a pensioner, tells me the housing situation in Nima has worsened over the years and people continue to struggle for places. To add salt to injury, available rooms, as poor as they may be, are way beyond their budgets, and landlords demand at least 2 years' payments in advance.
It is difficult to get a room here at Nima. You would have to go through an agent before you get a room to rent. You can't do it on your own, so you would need their help. Some people take 3 to 4 years advance payment, and some even charge as much as 650 cedis per month. Some people complain, but they have no choice. In the olden days, it was very easy getting rooms here. People used to recommend Nima to others when they are looking for rooms. And truly, people got rooms when they came here. It is difficult getting rooms here now. About 5 people came here recently in search of accommodation. I told them it is not possible, so they left.
So what options are available for people like the 5 who have had to look elsewhere in the hunt for a place to lay their heads? I have met the marketing director for Lakeside Estates, Lawrence D'Souza, in his office on the 7th floor of the Silver Star Towers. He makes a strong case for mortgages.
It just helps all the potential home buyers for them to be paying for the houses as if they are renting it. You can rent somebody's house for 20 years. The house doesn't become yours. But with mortgage, you pay for 20 years and the house eventually becomes yours. So it is a good idea for our industry.
Why then are people not rushing for options like this? Mr. D'Souza tells me high interest rates and low salary levels are major repelling factors.
It's the interest on mortgage. You see, a lot of the mortgage companies and banks, they charge a minimum of 12 to 13% on the dollar, and in excess of 28 to 40%, 28 to 30% on the cedi. That actually keeps a lot of, that's the annual interest, monthly interest. So because the whole thing is compounded, you know, they have to pay over a longer period of time, and the interest rate tends to push a lot of people away. Then another major thing I realize is that salary levels in the country are generally very low. So by the time they add the interest and they do the assessment, a lot of people tend not to qualify for the mortgage. Either to, if you look at elsewhere, like the US, the Canadas, people pay as low as 3%, 2% for the mortgage loan. Whilst Ghana, we are looking at 12, 13, 14% on the dollar and over 28% on the cedi.
In his opinion, Ghana needs a real estate fund to make mortgages attractive, as that could help reduce the interest rates for prospective home buyers.
Because speaking to a lot of the mortgage companies, they will tell you that the cost of borrowing, basically they borrow and they also lend on to the potential home buyer. So if the person is borrowing at 6%, the person will add his or her overheads and everything. You realize that there's no way the person is going to borrow to the potential home buyer anything less than 12%. So if we have a real estate fund where these banks could leverage on in order to borrow to homeowners, we can push the interest rates very low.
The fact still remains that tonight, thousands of people across the country will be at the mercy of a chilling night, exposed to unforeseen dangers. Reporting for Joy News, Maxwell Ababa.
Through Ghana's housing deficit keeps increasing, but the good news is the multi-TV Habitat Fair is coming off on the 11th to the 13th of August at the Accra International Conference Center. It will provide a one-stop shop for everything related to housing and also an opportunity for interaction with the industry players on how mortgages work. Do make a date and attend that program. Now, away from housing, government is to start building an 84-kilometer railway line from Tema to Akosombo from October as part of efforts to redevelop the railway system in Ghana. At a consultative stakeholder workshop in Accra, the Chief Executive of the Ghana Railways Development Authority, Richard Dombo, said residents who will be affected during the project will be duly compensated. He has been speaking to Joy News' Beatrice Edu.
In regards to your viewers and listeners.
So in your presentation, you talked about the fact that all things being equal, we should start this project, which is from Tema to Akosombo, in October. How sure are you that it's going to start in October?
Well, the only certainty in life is death. But in terms of the project expectations and planning and everything, we rely on what feedback we get, coupled with our own assessment, feedback we get from the consultant and the contractor. And from the latest receipts of documents from the contractor, AFCONS, there is a stipulation that serious main work would start in the month of October. All things being equal, and that is why this engagement is ongoing. In other words, it is not all about projection. The projection must be based on certain parameters, which includes these very stakeholders, i.e. the municipal and district chief executives, and the communities that they represent, and the challenges that the contractor is facing daily. So having them all under one roof as such, and as well as the utilities providers such as the telecoms and the water sewerage corporation and the electricity corporation, in terms of what pipelines and cables and what are laid in what is envisaged to be the the right of way. In other words, right of way means where the tracks will be laid. Due to maybe ill planning in the past, we've got the right of way encroached upon also by businesses and individuals, as well as the laying of utilities facilities such as the pipelines and such. Now, this engagement we're having at this point in time with the stakeholders is to conscientize them, make them realize, seeing it on graphic, that this particular area, Pong, Katamanto, this particular area, there are about 4 MCAs involved. They realize, or they are shown graphically, which areas in their sector, encroach upon the right of way, and we seek their assistance. With that assistance, and from what I'm seeing, looks like everybody is on board. In other words, they're all ready to help. We will be able to be on target. Any
specific reason why we are undertaking this project from Tema to Akosombo, bearing in mind that the president spoke about Takoradi to Paga?
The president has a vision that he wants us to reach the nether regions of the country, bordering the neighboring country, Burkina Faso. So in speaking as such, he was not there by laying or relaying the master plan. There is a master plan. So
now, counsel for an Indian who is currently in detention at the Kotoka International Airport has just secured a court order preventing his deportation, Ashok Kumar Sivram, back to India this afternoon. Gary Makomafo says his client, who was arrested and deported in June 2017 for fraud and other offences, returned to Ghana after a court quashed his deportation order. But orders from the Interior Minister Ambrose Derry has ensured his client does not enjoy that right. According to lawyer Nimakon, he's just secured a court order and joins me on the phone line with details. Good afternoon and thanks for your time.
Good afternoon, madam. How are you?
I'm doing well. I hope you're great too. Now, you've just filed an application to compel the Interior Minister, Director of Immigration and Head of Aviation to produce your client in court to show why he's been detained since yesterday. How successful has that been, sir?
Well, good afternoon, and good afternoon to your cherished listeners. Let me confirm that yes, it's correct. Yesterday, I can confirm to you that Mr. Ashok Kumar Sivram, an Indian national, was entering the jurisdiction pursuant to a ruling of His Lordship Justice Bakuti Akabwafo, on 31st July 2017, which sought to quash the order of the Interior Minister dated 15th of May 2017, which they used to deport him from the jurisdiction. And the Director of Immigration, Setechi himself, was in court when the court indicated to him. In fact, yesterday, if you look at yesterday's daily graphic, it was widely published that any attempt by any of the officers to restrain him from entering the jurisdiction will amount to contempt of court. In view of this, we are surprised that yesterday, when Mr. Ashok Kumar Sivaram entered the country at the Kotoka International Airport around 1 o'clock thereabouts, he was restrained by the immigration authorities that they will not let him enter the country.
Lawyer Nimako, briefly...
what has happened is that... sorry, go ahead.
Okay,
Sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted you to briefly tell us what led to this order from the Interior Ministry deporting your client.
Yes, thank you very much. You'll recall that if you look at the order dated the 15th of May 2017, the Minister for the Interior indicated that the applicants have submitted what he termed as a forged marriage certificate for registration as a Ghanaian citizen, and that he said that document was fraudulent, and that in view of that, he is not supposed to be in Ghana, and he should be deported from Ghana forthwith. Now, we took the view that that position by the Interior Minister was in excess of a jurisdiction in the first place, because, one, the Interior Minister is not a court. The Interior Minister is not a judge, and he has no power to determine fraud. So we took the view that if at the end of the day he thought or he think he had enough evidence to determine fraud, the best place for him to have gone was the court, and not for him to have done what he did. And then secondly, the fact that he did not even hear the person on the accusation of fraud leveled against him, and yet he issued a deportation order, and which same was carried out and took the man out of the country. Now, this is a person, Madam, you wait a waiter. This is a person who has a business in Ghana. He's been in Ghana for 17 years. He has not committed any crime in this country before. He's not been put before any court before. The only thing that we know is that he and his partner are in the civil litigation in a different court. And the court made order for valuation of the company to be done. Subsequent to the order being made, the other partner threatened to make sure that this guy is deported from the country. And then in 10 days' time, a deportation order is issued for his deportation. And then he's taken out of the country without notice to him. The High Court, having listened to arguments, ruled on the matter on 31st of this July, and said that the decision by the Interior Minister was wrongful in law and same is quashed. And then the guy should come into the country. Then he is coming, and then he is stopped at the airport.
Okay, lawyer...
Even though the court said he should come into the country.
All right, Lawyer Nimako, he was detained yesterday. Have you seen your client, and what condition is he in now?
Well, I was with him yesterday until 1:30 a.m. They couldn't allow me to take him away because they said it's orders from above. Now, you see, as a lawyer, you must read orders from above, what it means. And you don't have to just sit there and just look at the system. This morning, I went to court again, and I filed what we call application for habeas corpus to compel the immigration authorities, the Honorable Minister of Interior, and the Director of Immigration to produce the applicant before court to show cause as to why they are detaining him at the court. And in fact, whilst I was there, we had intelligence information that they were preparing to deport the man again after the country. Even though the ruling is there, questioning the order of the minister, they were preparing to deport him again after the country. So the court has made order, directed at the Minister of the Interior, that nobody should deport the man from the country, and that we should all appear before court tomorrow, the 4th of August 2017, at 10 o'clock. And there's a further order directed at the commander at the airport that he should defy any order by either the minister or the Director of Immigration to deport the man. And if they do that, they will be in contempt of court. These are the express orders of the court today. And we sure the orders are served on the minister and the people who are all involved in this matter. And I must tell you, we must all understand one thing, that we live under a rule of law. We don't live under a rule of man. And the law must at all times guide all of us, our action. That's the point that we must all understand.
Okay, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Lawyer Gary Nimakumafo is representing this Indian businessman who's been asked not to enter the country, actually being deported by orders of the Interior Minister, and he's challenging that, and actually a High Court order has quashed that deportation. We'll be following up on this story and bring you updates in subsequent bulletins.